Welcome back to Hey Brother, a podcast dedicated to all things Freemasonry right here in the jurisdiction of Kansas. This is an independent production, so the thoughts and opinions expressed here are those of our own and do not represent those of any lodge, Grand Lodge, or associated group or body. Now here are your hosts, brothers Darren Kellerman and Alex Powers.
Hey, brothers. Well, this is new. It's kind of like Wayne's World, that scene where Garth gets stuck on stage and he's like, this is fun. Kellerman's out tonight. We knew he was going to be working this evening, and he jinxed it, telling us and our guest this evening that, hopefully he'll be able to take the show from the office and not out on an active crime scene. Knock on wood, they had an active crime scene, and Kellerman is out there protecting his area of Kansas, so right where he needs to be. Appreciate all he does out there, but you guys are stuck with me for this evening, so let's jump straight into it. We do have an amazing guest this evening, one of our speakers for Masonicon, so we're going to get into that, but we do have some news in the world of Kansas Masonry. Let me see if I can share screen here 1 second. Here we go. All right, looking over mostly in the Kansas Freemasonry group, but I grabbed this one straight off the Grand Lodge page. So we know the Grand Master has been active, visiting multiple lodges a week all over the state of Kansas. How this guy keeps up, I don't know, but he is putting some miles on that van this year. So last night, found him out in Topeka at Orient Topeka Lodge, doing an official visit there, and looked like it was a great turnout for the evening. So if you guys haven't seen him in your neck of the woods just yet, remember his words at the annual communication. You're probably going to see him. And he warned us all that he's going to probably come to every lodge unannounced and late. So even if you don't think he's going to be there, he might be there. If you get that knock on the door, it's probably who it is. See what else we had going on. The brothers down in the Wichita area doing some great things. I know they put on this event every year, luncheon for the first responders of the area, and have an amazing turnout every year. Brothers doing great things down in Wichita, and they keep putting a great face for Kansas Masonry year after year. So well done to all of you brothers. We also saw Grand Lodge keeping back at it. Friday on the 5th, Grand Master and his officials, his officers traveled out to Wyandotte Lodge number 3, so right here in the Kansas City Metro, and gave out some service emblems, a 50-year, a 60-year. So again, keep an eye out for those events. It's not just stated meetings. Grand Master is hitting up all kinds of events across the state. This one was not an official visit, but I thought it was pretty cool. Shared over in the Kansas Freemasonry group. And this one was actually originally shared on the Historical Society Museum page, but they shared out some really cool Masonic history for the Lakens area, including Lakens Lodge, or actually it shows here Emerald Lodge, which I did not do the research. I'll have to see if those merged in together at one point to make that. But some really, really cool history nonetheless. Especially showing the old parade there, which is really neat. On that stone showing 1956 for a rededication. So yeah, keep an eye out. Some great stuff being shared around. And then, of course, Masonicon, Kansas coming up right around the corner. We got to give some love there. And that leads us right into our guest this evening. We have with us, who do we got? Brother R.J. Johnson. Hey, brother. I don't know if I can hear you.
Oh, that's because I was on mute.
There we go.
Like a goofball who didn't live through the pandemic.
Oh, you're good, man.
I'm great. Great to see you, my brother.
Hey, you too. It's been too long, man.
Yeah. I mean, at least almost a year since I took the Southwest Chief down from Union, Chicago to Union, Kansas, or Missouri, rather. And what a great trip that was. I'm looking forward to doing that again.
Heck yeah, man. I've still not taken a train. Well, I guess I did one time when I was a kid for like Boy Scouts, but I haven't taken a full trip And I think it'd be really cool. And, I was chatting with you last time about it, and Chicago looks like, I know our families have been chatting that we need to get together. So maybe we'll have to hop on the train and do that here pretty soon.
Oh, anytime. And yeah, man, if you can get on the Southwest Chief and come up, coach seats, you're up on top, and it feels like you're 100 years ago. There's still, wood trim, velour seats, drapes on the windows,
Yeah.
and it's not expensive at all. So it's the way a Mason might travel, I would assume, maybe.
Heck yeah. Love that. Well, for those listening in that may not know what we're referring to here, he's talking about Union Station just on the Kansas City, Missouri side. Major, huge train depot, very, very historic building right across from the World War I National Monument. And we almost lost it. I think right around late 90s, early 2000s, it was about abandoned, not used, and debating tearing the dang thing down. And they revitalized it, brought it back. It's just as gorgeous as ever. So much history there. I mean, if you're into the old KC mob history, there was a famous shootout out front, still bullet holes in the granite side of the building.
I'll tell you, Alex, it
Yeah.
was, I mean, everybody probably knows you and knows that you're the friggin' history dude. And I think you have sparked an interest in those types of things for so many brothers around the country. And I have to say, even before, for the listeners, I mean, this is Alex, right? I told him, I said, yeah, I'm gonna go from Union, Chicago down to Union, down by you, and he's like, oh, no way. And then he just unloaded like all this cool history. He showed me how it was like in a domed bubble for the Amtrak for a little while
Yeah.
within the inside, because the outside of the building was like decrepit.
Oh, yeah.
But now it's so amazing, you guys. If you guys get a chance to go down there, when I was down there, at least they had a really cool art exhibition, some local folks who make jewelry and things. And this was like even after hours. It is a beautiful station down there. And if you got to come and you got to wait for an Uber ride or anything out front, there's beautiful scenery with that old history. So it's really cool.
Absolutely. Well, and I know a good friend of ours, Robert Marshall, gets a kick out of it when he comes to
Mhm.
town, because when you go down the main hall, which they still have the Amtrak station out Robert's talking about, but the old hall is where they used to board the trains, and they don't anymore. They use it for, venue and other stuff. But down at the very end, they still have the old routes marked up of what was coming in. And Waco, Texas was one of the very last routes going out of the place. So Robert Marshall gets a kick out of seeing that.
Yes, sir. It's awesome.
But let's talk about it, man. Masonicon, Kansas has some amazing history, especially tied into you, because you're a big part of it, of why we actually got this thing going.
Well, maybe sort of. I think the big impetus, I think the big inspiration really probably goes back to, of course, Brian Simmons.
Absolutely.
Brian had contacted you, and he contacted me, and he contacted all these guys. I think it was maybe their second or third year. And this was the first time I had met Alex. Alex and I, we met, I think, in the parking garage going into an elevator.
Yeah.
We were at a hotel, right? And there was the elevator, and we were both crying about Massachusetts driving. And then I think both of us are sort of locationally challenged, even when we're around home. So it was wild for the two of us. But Brian was the guy, man. He had this vision of a really big conference, and it just spread kind of like wildfire. Well, that's probably a bad thing to say these days. It spread like you can't
Especially
even say
talking
like
to
a virus.
Kansas brothers.
Yeah, it spread, right? Like it was a good spread of inspiration. It spawned one in South Pasadena, which really became the largest Masonic con event maybe on the West Coast.
Oh, yeah.
It spawned Esotericon. It spawned, of course, Kansas Masonicon. It spawned Chicago Masonicon. And then even as far northeast as New Hampshire, as far northwest as there's another esoteric Masonic conference that happens up there, up in the Washington area. just all over. And even Texas Masonicon has happened almost every year as well. And these things were just amazing. And admittedly, I think there has been sort of for some jurisdictions, there's been sort of a downshift in terms of the Masonic Con experience, because there hasn't been a large enough support network to assist it. Now, luckily, and by the grace of God, you guys out in Kansas have been keeping that candle lit, and it's just been amazing. So I'm super excited. The first Kansas Masonicon was, I don't even know how to describe it. I mean, of course you were bearing tons of weight and you were hauling audio equipment and being a madman with that stuff, because that's who you are, right? But it was a tremendous event. And every year you guys have one-upped things. And I think one of the greatest things that you guys have done in recent time has been to move it to like a free thing and to raise money for the history, the Kansas Masonic history. So
absolutely. Tons of great points there. I do want to take it. Let's take it all the way back, since we got no Kellerman here. I'm going to steal you for a few more minutes if you don't mind.
Cool. Yeah, no, it's fine.
But no, I want to get your opinion on the original Masonicon up there in Attleboro, Massachusetts, because when that happened, I was not a totally fresh Mason, but I was young in Masonry, and as many Masons do, come in and maybe not get the experience that they were looking for, etc. I was in a weird place with Masonry. I was kind of like, is this really what I thought it was going to be? I don't see the education I thought there was going to be there, etc. That Masonicon came up in Attleboro, and that was never on my radar. I think the only reason that one got on my radar is because I had started the podcast Historical Light. I was very young into that. But with you guys and a few other podcasts, I can't remember who it was. Somebody had tried to set up where we were going to do like a group photograph of all the podcasters. So I was like, we got to make this happen. And got up there. That was my only intent for going. And that entire event blew me away, opened up my eyes to a side of Masonry I had never seen before. Brothers like yourself that I'm still lifelong friends with to this day. And for Brother Brian and all of his group up there that put that on and continue to put it on, continue to pave the path for the rest of us. I can't express my thanks enough, because probably saved my Masonic journey. Definitely changed course, relit that fire, turned it into a torch, but then expanded into what you did in Chicago. And then you gave me that nudge of, when you bringing this to Kansas? And I told you, I was like, it ain't happening. There's no way. And of course, my OCD self, once you put that little, spark in there, I'm like, well, is there? Now I feel like I have to. How do I do this? And here we are. So, not only thank you, Brian, but, thank you, man, for all that you did in that path as well, because you were a big part of it.
Like, you can say that. I appreciate it. I'm sure, a little bit of push from me and some others made it happen, but you can't sell yourself short. I think between you, Yvette, and even your girls, all really helped to make that happen. So, that first Masonicon in Attleboro was exactly my experience pretty much as well. I was a younger Mason. I started hitting the road, traveling to other states early on, because I was fortunate enough to, a good friend of mine was named Charlie Harper, and he had written a couple books, and he was traveling around, and we ended up going our first trip. He had an out-of-state trip, and we went up to Friendship Lodge, which was up in the it's in Michigan, but we weren't in Detroit. We were in good grief. Flint, Michigan. Yeah. Where all, the water disaster had happened and everything. And this was shortly after the the first economic downturn we had, early 2012, 13 kind of thing. And, the area up there was really bad. And it was wild to go up there and see masonry so strong and brothers really like pulling together to keep the community together. And Charlie gave this great talk. I filmed it. And that was when I realized, oh, Masonic speaking can just go and people can actually make an event out of the education, because it is at that point was such a rarity, Alex. I mean,
Yeah.
we were looking for the history, and it turned out that if we wanted to know the history, I know you know this, there were maybe a handful of guys that could tell you some stuff, but
Right.
you almost had to write the book on Kansas Masonry over again through a new lens of historical accuracy and all of these things that we know about today. Um, and so then when we went to Boston or Attleboro Masonicon, it was that experience that I had in Flint times 1,000. They had like 12 speakers. You didn't have to go to some speakers, like you could just go and you could check out a talk. You could walk in and out. You could go visit the vendors. You could go have a cigar outside. You could grab some barbecue. They just called in food trucks. I mean,
It was
what?
nuts. Yeah.
It was just like, oh, I don't have to handle the food. I could just call a food truck. What? I could just, oh my gosh, we could do something. Right.
Yeah.
And it just exploded, man. Just
No,
exploded.
it was such an amazing, well, minus the part when I first met you that you kind of alluded to, and I've told that story 100 times, so we won't get into that whole mess. But we'll sum it up. This Kansas City boy did not have any reason under the face of this earth to rent a car first time ever being in Boston with poor cell phone signal. That it was a disaster. But
I trust
we
me.
got through it.
I was driven around by one of the Lodge brothers who's kind enough to scoop us up, and he's local. And it was like, I watched this guy drive down in Massachusetts. I won't say what they call the drivers down there, but they call themselves this mass something. But anyway, they drive wild and it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, so you mentioned that, and that's where everything went wrong. Some people don't know this part. So I didn't speak the first year I went up there. I just went up there as part of the podcast. They threw me on the shirt and everything for whatever reason. I got a kick out of it, right? But when I scheduled, Brian told me, hey, we got a ride for you from the airport, but I'd already booked everything. I had a rental car, and I was just like, it's probably better to have a car, right? So I was like, nah, don't worry about it. And we get there and they offered again, because that was the first time I met John Ruark, and the car's there to pick him up. You sure you don't want to ride? I'm like, nah, I got it. I should have taken that ride. That's where everything went wrong. Dude, there's no street signs out there like there are here, at least not to the same degree. And my cell phone signal, I had an old Android, semi-shade to Android. I'm an iPhone guy now, but I left the airport thinking, I'll just throw GPS on. Well, I just got out and made a right, not thinking about it, hopped in that tunnel that goes under the water for like 1,000,000 miles, wrong direction.
Oh,
man. And then no signal. It was a nightmare. So by the time I got to the parking garage and kept going the wrong way and told to go F myself 100 times, finally met up with you guys. And I was like, thank God, someone I know, I'm saved.
yeah, that's how it felt for sure. Because you're what do we say? You're like in the unknown country, right?
Right. But I mean, dude, literally an experience that I'll never forget, reshaped my entire Masonic experience.
Same.
And kind of brings us to this new wave. So we've done this will be year 5 in a row of doing Masonicon Kansas. And last year is when we swapped it up. And this is why any of you guys out there listening have no excuse, whether you're in person or not. It's free to attend. We encourage and accept donations because it's a 2-bird, 1-stone factor. But we were going at this, and first few years, it's like we were raising the money, and there's not a lot of meat on the bone there. We were paying for speakers to come in, hotels, all this jazz. But we got all the equipment we needed, and we started thinking, what is the barrier here to get more people? well, it's ticket prices, right? So what if we made this free and education was just open to everybody? Uh, could we do that? So we switched up the process and we started just asking the lodges, hey, this is what we're doing. Could you throw a donation in and keep this free for everybody? Your members can come, and we also have a virtual option. If you can't make it in person, you can hop online and watch. Doesn't cost you a dime. And lodges have gratefully responded and given us the donations we need to, take care of that overhead price. And then, so we wanted to take that and come with another idea because we've always done the auction at the event and had donations. So we're like, all right, if we keep overhead low and that's pretty much covered by the lodges and we still push for money, what can we do with this? And I think it was 2 years ago was the first time. We always try to do something fun, right? Like, this isn't exactly Boston, like Brian got to take us all around up there. But there's some cool stuff around the Kansas City area to see. And one of the stops we made was a cemetery in Kansas City, Kansas that still has an outdoor lodge room monument, right? Kind of surrounding the entire Masonic section out there. And there's a whole big story of another one that we lost that I tried to fight tooth and nail to save. So this one's kind of near and dear to me because we still have a chance. It's in disrepair, but we have a chance. So that sparked this new wave of Masonicon. It's like, okay, two birds, one stone. Let's do free education, get education to as many brothers as want it, right? And that's what I was looking for when I came into Masonry. I didn't find it. That's what changed my experience. If we can open that up and say, hey, Kansas, guys outside of Kansas, here's an experience for you. And at the same time, fundraise to save our public image. Because, I mean, I don't know, RJ, I'm sure you guys have this issue where you're at. I feel like it's a worldwide issue. I feel like when public sees Masonic things, more times than not, they're in poor shape. Would you agree?
Oh, I would definitely agree with that. I mean, it's difficult, right? Because number one, I'm in love with the largeness of Art Deco and Art Nouveau, which also just happened to be just before the giant boom when we really started making all these large temples in the 1919s and 1921s and all those huge buildings. And the real unfortunate part, of course, is membership at that point could sustain those types of things. Membership at that point was like you could just send mail to all of your members and say, you now owe an extra $10, and nobody batted an eye.
Right.
This is not the case anymore. The membership is smaller. It's based on a subset of Masons who now have to support a much larger structure, which is a bummer, right? Because what ends up happening is more times than not is we try to, as best as possible, stay on top of the repairs and the looks on the surface of things.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe the other option is like close off some rooms because we can't afford to do those yet. Or, maybe there was a famous lodge in Chicago, Evans Lodge, one of the coolest darn lodges. They had their own printing press in the basement. They bound books, all this stuff. It was amazing. But it was a quote unquote, I would call it like, an innovation of the time. They thought, well, how do we make this lodge look amazing? What's the biggest eyesore on the building? Oh, gutters. Ew. Now, number one, Alex, you ever seen those awesome old lodges where the gutters are like made of copper and they have like a dragon's head on the bottom? Like they take time, and those things are like
cool.
they're like 120 years old and they're still lasting and they're awesome. Well, when they built Evans Lodge, they were like, no, we're not going to do that. In fact, we are going to do something real cool. We're going to put the gutters in the building through the walls so you don't even have to see them.
Right.
Well, those leak. And then after a while, the walls start falling apart. And, recently they had to sell the building, and now they merged into another lodge building, which is awesome. They saved it, right? But at the same time, this is the story everywhere. I want to say, what was it, like 10 years ago when they used to do the Scottish Rite Southern Jurisdiction House of the Temple? It was Darn, what was it called? It was like a telethon. They had
Oh yeah.
Don Wildman was the host of it sometimes, or they would have all these like brothers have talent and things. They would do all this stuff, and they would basically have people on the phone, and you'd raise money for the House of the Temple. And I think at that point they needed something like $6 million,
Wow. Yeah.
right? And this is the House of the Temple, you guys. The House of the Temple
Absolutely.
needed dollars to help sustain it, right? So this is a problem that affects the smallest lodges to the biggest lodges, and that public image, like you were saying, Alex, it's everything. It's everything.
Absolutely.
The grandiose structure of these Masonic cemeteries and these mausoleums that we have, when those fall into disrepair, I guess it works for a creepy angle, but it's not working for what we want. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. But no, I mean, you bring up such a great point, and it's kind of a sore spot because, and again, this is an issue that I'm sure goes well beyond Kansas. A lot of our lodges are losing their buildings because of that. I mean, these old buildings take a lot of money to upkeep, and taxes and everything are raising. And here in Kansas, our lodges don't get to skip out on property tax, and that's killing so many of them.
Oof,
But
yeah.
while the buildings are, in many cases, an effort that we just can't quite meet, there are efforts like this cemetery, and this is just hopefully one of many. We plan to keep looking for items that we can fix and promote within Kansas about our history. This is something that, to me, already seeing one of these disappear, this one's not far beyond it. There's going to be a point that it's so far disrepair that the cemetery is going to say it's got to come down. And that's what happened in the other location. But you got to think back, when brothers were buried there, they chose that location for a reason. You can argue their past, but we are a brother's keeper. And just the fact of people that don't know anything of Masonry going into a cemetery like that, and there's others of these throughout the state, and seeing it crumbling. Like here, I'll throw up just a quick photo. We got a few photos, and you guys can go check it out. It's out at the Chapel Hill Cemetery, or Chapel Hill Memorial Gardens in KCK. You can kind of see in the bottom here, it's not in great shape, but it is huge. A couple wonderful brothers.
Hey, look at that, Nicholas Lane.
Absolutely. And you can see just how big this area is. I mean, it's mammoth, and it's beautiful structure, but we have a chance to turn this around because, I mean, think about it. People that know next to nothing about Freemasonry, they come up on this and they're like, oh, this is, I think, Masonic. It looks really bad. They must not care. That's what kills me.
Yeah.
That's that first impression, right? Especially to our deceased brethren. So I feel like if we can, one, keep the history, two, give our public image a bit of a facelift, coming together for, hey, let's get together with the purpose of education, with a meaning behind it, and two bird, one stone this.
Yeah,
And
and
why not?
you know what, Alex? It's three birds with a stone, because aside from those two other things, is you alluded to it a moment ago, which is essentially keeping up with our end of the bargain. If a brother decides that he wants to donate $100,000 to the lodge with the expressed wish, and he contractually gives it to the lodge through his insurance agency or whatever, and it says you got to have an education fund and you have to give out 3 scholarships a year for $1,000 each. If your lodge isn't doing that, even if it's not like in a legal way, right? If there were no legal, even if it was a handshake, that's a contract to us, right?
Yeah.
And so if you're not doing that, I mean, you could argue whatever you want. I would call it almost unmasonic conduct. And in that same respect, if we let a cemetery like that, where brothers were like, I'm going to be laid to rest there amongst my fellows, and we just kind of let it go, what do you think you think those brothers would be like, looking down on us saying, Well, they did the best they could, but they have so many other fish to fry. No pun
Mhm.
intended there. But no, they're probably like, oh man, I wish these guys had been better stewards of our money.
Yeah,
I wish these guys could, help keep this monument to masonry and these fallen brothers like good in a nice,
absolutely.
you know. So yeah, I love the mission, especially the fact that it's free is crazy. I'm sorry, it's so but it's crazy in a good way, right? Like we've always maintained that these Masonic cons are kind of a zero sum game. We want
Yeah,
to sell the amount of tickets we need to fund the activities that we have. And in this instance, because like you said, you have all of the tech and everything else, and I just think about the psychology on this a little bit too. I think about lodges, right? A lodge might want to go, and there's two or three members who might want to go, but they don't want to buy a ticket because maybe they can't, they won't make it, or they're scared they won't make it, and it'll be a waste or whatever.
right.
But if the lodge as a whole comes together and goes, yeah, it's awesome. Even if we can't go, we can help Alex and we can help out this awesome MasonicCon Kansas that's going to happen. And oh, by the way, dollars are going to end up going toward Masonic infrastructure and a historical, preservation effort. Pff, get out of town. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Well, and we're kind of getting past our time, so I'm speed round this last part here, but I want to bring up the fact that, man, you were there for our year 1. And coming into year 5, I feel like we got to bring them back. You're a huge part of my Masonic journey. You impact so many, and I love hearing your education, man. So I'm stoked to have you coming back and being part of this event with us.
I'm super excited. You have no idea. MasonicCon Kansas is essentially what I would call a premier Masonic education event. There are maybe a handful, I would say, in the United States that are amazing. There are probably 3 that are must attends. And in my experience, those are Kansas MasonicCon, even though this next one is not Masonic, quote unquote, Esotericon. And the third one used to be Camp Masonry. But our brothers up north have done another camping event. It's Masonic
Heard
Camp.
lots of good things about those. Yeah.
And Masonic Camp. And those 3 things to me are without a doubt unmissable. They are wonderful events that I think you're just gonna you come away a better person, recharged. The recharge, Alex. The Kansas MasonicCon Masonic recharge is real. You leave the event feeling like you got 1,000 ideas of what you're gonna do next.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So hats off to you guys. I'm excited to come out. And even more excited to give you a big old hug and Yvette a big hug and say hey to the kids, give out high fives and do all the goods.
And that's the amazing part is I got to meet you and so many other brothers by doing events like this. It's one of those things like annual communication is always fun. And it's seeing the brothers from your lodge, your other lodges across the state.
Totally.
And that alone is like, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. It's great to catch up. An event like this, we get so many people like yourself that travel in for it. It's a chance to not only see the brothers you know and love, but meet new ones that you're going to keep in touch with. I always call it's the Masonic family reunion. And I feel like that holds so true.
And then you come home and because you haven't been on social media at all the whole time because
right.
Social media for real. You've been like social for real. And you come home and you like open up your Facebook or your Insta or whatever, and you got like 20 new friend requests or 20 new follow requests. And you're like, oh yeah, from the con. Yeah. Okay. It's
absolutely. Well, guys, get your tickets out there, come out and see RJ and the rest of our speakers. We're going to get a few more on in coming episodes. We're just over a month out, man. So we are not far off at all. So MasonicConKansas.com. Go over there, get your tickets. The only part of that it's free. We still need you to get tickets so we can plan accordingly. No head counts, no viewers, all that jazz. The festive board does have a ticket just because catering and stuff isn't free. Sorry, guys, but
it's a delicious time.
It
You
is.
should go.
Always good. All right, well, let's jump in before we cap off here and take a look at what's going on in Kansas Freemasonry. I know a lot of you, our regular viewers, are tied up this evening, just part of the scheduling, with the M2 training. So getting trained up on the amazing system we got over there so we can help run our lodges better. Then we've got the Kansas Job's Daughter event happening tomorrow night. And Emporia Lodge has an award ceremony listed on Friday, 6 to 8:30. So if you are out around that area, make sure to stop in and see those brothers. And then looks like on our next episode night, we've got the brothers out at 144 holding a fish fry, 6
What
to
I
9:30.
say? What did I tell you? What did I tell you? What did I tell you? Fish fries, baby.
Absolutely.
Get it, brothers. Get it.
So make sure if you are in the area of those, stop by and show your brothers some love and support. RJ, I want to thank you again, man, for everything that you do, for keeping coming out and being a friend of Kansas Masonry. And I cannot wait this next month to see you in person, give you a big old hug.
The feeling is absolutely mutual to all the Kansas brothers. I have never experienced any bad Masonic experience in Kansas. You guys have always been amazing, and just love you guys. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again for everyone out there. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you right back here next week live. See you, brothers. Have a great night.